I'm Christine Stavropoulos.
Και εγώ ο Νίκος Σαμίδης. Και αυτό είναι το Greek Podyssey, το podcast της Ομογένειας.
A podcast for Hellenes worldwide, sharing stories, culture, identity, laughs and a little bit of tsugrisma along the way.
Γιατί μπορεί να φύγαμε από την Ελλάδα, αλλά η Ελλάδα δεν έφυγε ποτέ από μας.
Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of the Greek Podyssey. I'm here with the very handsome, moustache-twirling Nikos. Γεια σου, Νίκο.
Yes, Christine. Hello, everyone. Today we have a very interesting topic to discuss. Beyond the marbles and the Acropolis and the islands and the tourism, is Greece the new land of opportunities?
Many people will say no because I think they're in a time warp of stereotype. But I feel there is an evolution, the next stage. And I know a lot of people will say, Christine, you don't know what you're talking about. You're talking shit because you only go there as a tourist. As a tourist, I talk to a lot of people. That's the job I do when I'm in Greece. From the cab driver right through to the corporate person, to the landowner, the farmer. And what I've found is that next generation is coming back. Now, I know pharmaceuticals in Greece is a huge industry. It is not talked about enough. And I think part of the problem why we're stuck in stereotypes is the advancements talked about enough. What do you think?
Okay, let's take it step by step. And let's say why people do they have this opinion and this impression about Greece, that Greece is only a tourist destination. And that includes islands and history and everything. Marbles, Acropolis and whatever. Because it's true that very last years after the Second World War, Greece went through a lot of struggles and they tried to rebuild the working force of the nation. A lot of mass migration to other countries, as Australia, Canada, USA, and people were struggling. Also, like heavy industry wasn't developed to the stage that is being developed now. Greece, the last years, and when I'm saying the last years, I'm saying about the last 50, 60 years, after the junta, after the dictatorship, which that was a disaster again for Greece, has started to rebuild a reputation. And we see finally steps towards to evolution and Greece to be as an opportunity land.
You asked me why I think people have this idea. I think a lot of it had to do with the recent financial crisis when Greece owed a lot of money to the Troika and Germany. Greece's reputation, and a lot of it driven by Germany, is you're lazy, you don't pay your dues to the Troika, you're not repaying your debt. I think a lot of that mud has stuck. But when you look at what was happening then, austerity is never a way to repay debt. And Greece has emerged, we've moved beyond that now. The economy has turned a corner. A lot of people in Greece that still live their day to day will say, no, it hasn't, we're struggling. Yes, but struggle is a global thing now, Nico. We can't just say it is specific to Greece. Where we live, there's a high cost of living, low wages. In the States, it's a global issue. But Greece, per capita, and the GDP is tracking really well. And that's what I left Greece with the impression. And what you had the same impression as well.
Greece has one of the highest growth of GDP in Europe. And that's fascinating. But I wanted to ask you something. Has Greece's story changed to be visible to others, to welcome new investors?
Just by speaking to business facilitators, there's a lot of people that are interested in investing in Greece.
Let's say a few others, like tech and startups, who have a blue ground, Viva Wallets, workable and global players. Green energy. Greece is a leader in solar, wind, and interconnection projects. We have film productions. Many producers coming to Greece to shooting whatever they do, and they have their tax rebates for that.
Not only overseas, but Greece itself is producing some top quality movies, miniseries.
Yeah, but now we're talking about...
But that's a growing industry.
Yes, it's a growing industry in-house. But we're talking about how people invest and come to put their money into Greek soil.
Yes.
And let's say for agriculture innovations, that's huge. Pharmaceutical industry, as you said before, we have big pharma companies exporting globally from Greece. That's a huge one. So I think that the thing has started to taking a turning point into this the last few years and welcomes more investors. For all our audience, viewers and listeners, on the season 1 we had an episode with Mrs. Prokopakis, which is
Trade commissioner
the trade
from the
commissioner.
consulate here in Sydney. She
And-
gave a lot of statistics.
She gave a lot of statistics, and it was the episode we were trying to bust the myth that Greeks are lazy. So if you want to hear that episode, at the end of this video, you'll see a small icon on the top corner of the video. If you want to watch it, it's very interesting.
People that listen on Spotify and
Yeah.
Apple, they're not going to see an icon.
People that are listening at podcast, please check the episodes
Yes.
Myth Busted.
I just want to say, Greece also offers lifestyle and beautiful weather. I've encountered a lot of people from America that have decided to pack up and leave and just establish themselves in America. This is Greeks from the coming back and starting their businesses in Greece or working remotely. But they said Greece is a safe place. It has lifestyle and it's where we choose to raise our children, our families. So they're working remotely, transferring their businesses there. So there's that element as well.
So you're talking about Greeks living abroad that are returning back to Greece. For that reason, we're going to have Lukas Theodorou as a guest today in this episode to tell us his story, how he ended up from Melbourne, Victoria to Athens, Greece. And it's a very interesting story to hear his story and his views on the matter. Now, is Greece a place that attracts investors?
We have identified from a previous podcast that Greece is a land of opportunities, which leads us to the next component of this podcast, and that's our new contributor, Lukas Theodorou, who I met when I was in Greece, and I was very enthusiastic about what he had to offer. And it also addressed a need that we've had a lot of inquiries and from people saying, how do we invest in Greece? How do we buy property? What are the pitfalls? And when I met Lukas, I thought, lucky that he's also a boy from Oz, from Melbourne. So there was a lot of synergy there. And he's established himself with his consulting company. But I'm not going to tell the story. Lukas has an interesting story on what led him to Greece and what made him stay in Greece and start this company. Lukas, welcome to the Greek Podyssey, both as a guest today and an ongoing contributor.
Thank you so much for having me. We're calling in from Athens today. The weather's fantastic, as always.
I want to say that Lukas is an example of today's topic because the story of Lukas is one of those stories that has a lot of interest to listen to, has a success. So it's a successful story for us to host here as a guest, Lukas from HELCO Consulting. Lukas, tell us about your story. How all that started? What happened? Why you're in Greece and not in Melbourne?
It's an interesting story. You're right. I am from Melbourne originally. I was born and raised there. I will condense the story because it can get quite long. But essentially, in 2020, in January, I was in Brussels. I was doing a secondment in the EU. It was for Greece's aviation sector in the EU. So each field and country have representatives, and I was with the aviation representative for Greece. So that was a really interesting time. It was supposed to be 6 months. I was in the last semester of my degree as well, finishing aviation at RMIT. And in March of 2020, COVID started. The world went into lockdown, and Brussels was one of the European cities to go into lockdown. And I was young at the time. This was now 5 years ago. I was only 23. And my parents said you couldn't get back to Australia. The borders had shut by then. So the only option was really to go back to Greece and do the lockdowns in Greece in Kalimnos with my relatives and Mykonos with the other relatives. So it wasn't the worst place to be locked down in, but it was just a matter of sticking it out. But as time went on, the first boulder came up, which was the army. So the army was, as our listeners would know if they've got these exemptions, you can stay in Greece for up to 6 months a year or else you serve. So that came up as an issue. and I thought I'll go back to Australia. So I actually got to Sydney, and Melbourne was still in lockdown, and I thought I was in Sydney for 3 months, obviously still not able to do anything. And then I thought, I don't really see the point of me being in Sydney. I might as well be back in Greece. So I thought, I'll go back to Greece, I'll do the army, get that out of the way, and then I'll come back to Australia. I came back to Greece, because I left Greece 5 months and 29 days, just off the exemption. So it was cutting it fine. So I came back to Greece, revoked my exemption, served in the army for 3 months, and obviously couldn't get back to Australia. So that whole year of 2020 was the start of my journey here in Greece. And then in 2020, I started my business, HELCO Consulting, which it originally, again, was an accident because I was asked urgently to sort some paperwork out. And she said, can you deliver these papers to this particular office? And I said, of course. And through my own personal experience of dealing with the Greek public system, obviously I've worked in a few different areas in the Greek public system, so I know it from behind the scenes as well. I thought, if Australians can't get to Greece and I'm here, maybe I'll start to help out. And that's how it really all started. It was this simple favor. I wasn't loving the job I was doing at the time, just at a consulting firm. So I thought, let's test it out. And here we are today, 3 years later.
With an act of philotimo, and it grew into a business.
Pretty much. Yeah, because it was a testing time for a lot of people. And I knew this particular lady, so I didn't have an issue in helping her out. But it was basically my whole time here is an accident. And my time, never imagined I know it's so cliche, but I never imagined in my life that I would be living in Greece.
So you came here to Sydney. You decided to go back to Greece. Why was that?
I didn't really see the point because I was staying at HELCO Consulting in Manly. They were very nice to host me. I was trying to find work. I couldn't find work. Melbourne was shut. You couldn't get into Melbourne. So I thought, I'm close to my home. I still can't get to my home. What's the difference, really?
Okay.
If I'm going to be locked out of Melbourne because you can't get into, this was COVID now, obviously. I didn't really see the point. So I like to be a practical person. I thought, okay, I don't want to waste time. What are our options? I either go back to Greece and do the army for 3 months, because again, my thought process was not Greece. It was the EU, it was Brussels. I wanted to try to line myself up something in Germany or France. So maybe I can kill two birds with one stone. To Greece, finish the army and come back.
So Greece wasn't in your books as a destination to build a business back then. That's 5 years ago.
Yeah. I wanted to do my future at the time was going to be aviation. I was working for Virgin Australia in Melbourne. I was studying aviation. I wanted to do master's degree. I still love airplanes, and that's why I went to Brussels. It was for aviation.
Can I ask, Lukas, what was it like starting a business during lockdown? Because you were there from 2020. It was when everything was locked down. Here's Lukas moving to Greece, which, let's be honest, it's another country for you. It's not like it's hometown. And starting a business from scratch. Talk us through that.
Yeah, the business started so basically when I was in the army, and a lot of people can resonate with this, I actually had to go to court. I had to go to the army court because there was incorrect information on my document. It was my dad's name, and it was the classic Anglo became Theo. So through this whole experience and helping this lady out, we were just coming out of the lockdowns in Greece, because Greece's lockdowns were a lot shorter than what they were in other countries. So it was hard at the start because you couldn't really get access to offices without appointments, without long waiting times. And at the time, they were also implementing a lot of systems. And it was really the time when the GovGR system came out. So it was difficult logistically from that point of view, because the lockdowns obviously stopped you going as you used to go in the past.
Well,
and then they were trying to digitalize things.
Not only Greece, it was difficult globally.
Yeah. But from opening a business point of view, that was the challenge then.
Let's go to Natasha, and we are coming back.
Before we listen to Natasha's legal segment, please note, the information shared in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and shouldn't be taken as legal or financial advice. Listeners should always seek professional guidance for their own situation.
Hello, I'm Natasha Kenamichou, and in this podcast, I will continue exploring inheritance rules under the Greek law. As we have already explained, the inheritance can arise either through a will or in the state without a will. Let's start analyzing the inheritance through a will. How is it defined? The succession by will gives the state of the right to determine the person he or she wishes to inherit him or her, but at the same time obliges the state to assign a part of the inherited property to certain relatives, such as the children or the spouse in life, who, even if they are not included in the will as heirs, are entitled to receive a percentage of the inheritance through the reserved share rule. The Civil Code provides for three types of wills: the private will, the public will, and the secret will. The private will is written in full by the testator's hand, dated and signed by him or her. A public will is drawn up by a declaration of the testator's last will and testament before a notary public with witnesses present. For the drawing up of the secret will, the testator shall, in the presence of witnesses, hand over to the notary public a document stating orally that this document contains his or her last will and testament. A renunciation of will action is also predicted and has to be made within 4 months since the declaration of the will by the court in this case. If no renunciation action has taken place within 4 months from the court declaration of the will, then the heirs are deemed to have made an implicit acceptance of the inheritance made to them through the will. In the case of a will, the declaration of acceptance of the inheritance, which is prepared by the notary public together with the preparation of the declaration for the payment of inheritance tax, must also follow. What specific actions need to be taken? Declaration of death of the deceased to the fiscal authorities. Deposit of the will at the court where the deceased residence belongs, or where the residence of the person who possesses the will belongs. This is a lengthy procedure that can reach almost 300 days, namely a year, before a will is declared by the court. If the residence of the deceased is abroad, the declaration of the will take place at the consulate. If the heirs also wish to renounce the inheritance, they must notify the court accordingly. After the publication of the will from court, the preparation and payment of the inheritance tax is required at the fiscal authorities. After the signing of the acceptance contract, the heirs have to submit an epsilon tax document in which the inherited property will be listed. The inherited property needs to be lodged in κτηματολόγιο or in θηκοφυλακείο if the real estate property is concerned. What we need to keep in mind is that the law regarding the declaration of will is about to change, probably from the beginning of September 2025, and wills are going digital, since the registry for unpublished wills is coming. The registry will be managed by the Notaries Association, and all wills, handwritten, secret, and public, will be published without revealing their content, respecting all the necessary guarantees of secrecy. Private wills will be deposited at a notary by the testator himself and not through a third party. The notary will enter and post the will on an online platform, and on the date of death of the testator, the platform will provide the appropriate code to open the file and allow the notary to publish the will. These changes intend to simplify the process and increase security in terms of drafting, filing, and publishing wills, as well as introducing a new institution that will facilitate the administration of the estate for as long as the testator is still alive. However, we should not forget the legal actions that can be taken during life, such as parental provision under Article 1509 of the Civil Code, and the establishment of a gift, donation, during life to any third party for any real estate or an undivided share thereof, located within the Greek territory in full ownership, part ownership, or in usufruct. A parental provision is a contract between a parent and a child, whereby the parent gives his or her property to the child free of charge in order to support the child's family, financial or professional life, while the child is still alive. What we need to have in mind is that there are legitimate options for the transfer of inheritance. The appropriate legal assistance will guide us to choose the one that suits us most.
Start to feel that people were interested in investing in Greece, that inspired you to start the business that you're in now?
Yeah, over time and just overtaking on small cases at the start, people would then ask further questions. Oh, can you help in buying property? Can you help in setting up business? Can you help in setting up a financial structure? People would ask these questions and people would get curious. And then when I took on the roasting warehouse guys, they were the first business that I engaged with from that service point of view. And obviously knowing coincidentally their business from Melbourne, I met them here in Greece. That's when I guess the investment started to really kick into gear. Because investment sounds simplistic when we just say the word, but there's a lot of different parts that go into it. You've got to set up tax or financial structure. You've got to look at the real estate side of things. You've got to do your auditing. You've got to set up the supply chain. And obviously, depending on what the business is as well. But I think after COVID and after the world went through that, people probably see things differently and they want a bit of a lifestyle change.
That's what I want to ask you. How people see Greece now in regards of business opportunities. Is Greece attractive to overseas investors?
Greece is very attractive. So essentially, as I say, any government is a business, and businesses sometimes, if they've gone through a hardship, they need to rebrand and re-emerge. I think Greece has rebranded and re-emerged to international markets.
Can you tell us how?
Yeah, so they've brought out obviously the infamous Golden Visa. That was a program that was originally designed to attract investment in real estate. But the Golden Visa now has moved to other areas like entrepreneurship. So there are investments of $250,000 if people want to invest in a startup, for example, across AI, software as a service, softwares that are being developed, bots, plugins for bigger software systems to support. So they're really focusing on the digital side of things.
Yeah.
They've established venture capitals like Endeavour Greece and Enterprise Greece, where Endeavour Greece is essentially, it's supported by the government. It's not formally a government organization, but Endeavour Greece, they're based around the world, London, New York. I think there's one in Singapore as well, and they're a VC. They help international businesses invest in the tech space. Enterprise Greece essentially is the marketing platform for the government's investment side of things. So they offer lots of incentives for investors on flat tax rates. If you're earning over, let's say, €1 million, if you've moved back to Greece, if you're someone that left Greece during the crisis and moved back, your income tax is at 50%. So there are lots of incentives now and campaigns that the government is running, and through their famous program now that they've launched in more recent years, Rebrain Greece, where they've partnered with big global companies for people to come back to Greece, especially now with projects like the Ellinikon, which has gotten global attention. The Ellinikon has been the catalyst for a lot of the real estate boom. So, until this is finished, that's going to be the prime time, especially in the Athens area, to invest in real estate, because that real estate value is just going to keep on going up.
How's it going?
And other projects.
How's the project going?
Yeah, it's going really well. As every time I drive by, there's more parts of the Ellinikon being built. Look, it's a project that you can see will shape that coastline. You can see it will change Athens forever. And I will also highlight that there are lots of other projects around Athens that are happening that maybe do not get as much attention, like the precinct is going to be all redone, Marina Filisvo Center, and continuing, where the Taekwondo Stadium is. That's all getting redone. That's all going to be very nice. The old ammunition manufacturer, Pital, which is going to become the new government headquarters near.
Yeah.
So the government's moving. There are lots of projects around Athens that will also contribute to this appreciation and opportunity to invest.
Let me ask you something. That's the big end of town, people that want to invest heavily. What if I am someone that just wants to buy a house, or be it Athens, an island, and what are the pitfalls and how do you help someone through that process?
Yeah, definitely. Real estate is it's a great opportunity, but it can be very tedious because, as you said, the pitfalls can be many. So having a good team behind you, we've got our team of engineers, accountants, lawyers that will support any investor to buy real estate. And we do it a lot. We're constantly starting the process with the search. So we will advocate on the ground. We'll do real estate searches for people. Obviously, they'll give us their description. We will search, give them properties, go to the listings. And once someone comes down to their last few properties, we get the engineers to come through. Now, an engineer to go through the property is very important because obviously there are things that might be hiding. There could be things like moisture damage. There could be insulation problem, whatever. There could be issues with the heating or cooling system. You don't know. So you always want to get an engineer to do an audit, a thorough one, and to make sure that obviously, and it's very common in Greece, that it's a legal apartment because you can have apartments that have had illegal extensions and they haven't permit, or the plans that the engineer's draft does not match the actual layout of the apartment. Something has been left out or
It's been an extension.
that's correct. We take care of that.
What do you think about working in Greece? Can Greece offer both career growth and peace of mind?
You'd be surprised, actually. There is career growth. It's like anywhere. You can obviously fall into a bad job in any country. That's just a fact of the nature of life. But if you do see the way this country is moving, and there are a lot of international companies that are setting shop, all the pharmaceuticals, a lot of car manufacturers, a lot of the big technology companies, you can actually be a big fish in a small pond here. Because as someone that's had obviously global experience, and any diaspora Greek from another country does bring in a different perspective. And companies now in Greece and brands now in Greece are looking for diverse and international workforces because they want their standard and their branch of their global company in Greece to be met with the other branches of this particular company. And I know this very well because I've helped people find work and we've had many of these discussions, but you can find really good work here now and well-paying work, but it's relative anywhere. The salary you're going to get here will be relevant to your experience and the level you're applying for. And I know that, again, in part of remarketing Greece, the image has been, the salaries. That still exists in certain sectors, let's say the service industry, because the service industry in most countries is not a very well-paid sector. But if you're entering other fields like pharmacy or engineering or construction or other sectors, there is more growth, but you can actually get paid very well. And I know this from personal experience. We're working with a headhunting company where this particular client of mine, we help them find Greek companies that have talent shortages, because now Greece has the opposite problem. There's an overjob. There's 700,000 jobs in the market that are there, and there are not enough people. So
I'm glad you're saying all of this, Lukas, because we have a lot of people, when we talk about opportunities in Greece, you get the cynical people and naysayers that will always look for something negative.
Of course.
And they have a go at Nico and I. They say, you're sitting there in your comfortable country of Australia, come and live in Greece. It's good to have someone that's actually living in Greece, that lived through a challenging period in Greece and has identified these opportunities from the ground by being there and helping people achieve these investment objectives. And now you've mentioned that there's an oversupply of jobs and not enough qualified people, or you flipped it on its ear, like you just said.
And it's very true.
Are you a peace of mind, Lukas, now living in Greece? Are you?
Yeah. Oh, the lifestyle.
No, tell the truth.
Don't get me. Look, I've had to grow a lot of patience with my work. Dealing with a real estate transaction is not always easy, and it can take a long time if there's issues with the transaction, like debts or illegal extensions and things like that. It can be quite stressful, but that's part of the job, right? I've just learned to marry the Greek bureaucracy and take it from a personal side. Yes, of course. I live near the foundation. In the mornings, I go for my walks. I swim at the open pools they have there.
I was going for a walk along Theseo, as you do, and then I hear Christine, and I turn around, and there's Lukas right behind me.
That's the thing, actually, you do, because Greece is very social, you always see people out. Like, I always bump into friends or relatives. It's a very social place. People are out. We finished dinner last night at 11:30 and the place is pumping. It's very lively. It's very social. You can be an active person. Every night if you want to do something here in Athens, whether the theatre, whether that's a book launch, an art gallery, a launch of a new business, something is always on. Something is always on. If you're one of those people that love them.
Why reform is slow in Greece? Even when everyone agrees that it's needed. Why this is happening? It's because the monster of bureaucracy, which is being digitalized now, it hasn't been eliminated. But as we said in other episodes, that have been significant benefits from that. Yeah. But still, is the bureaucracy still there? And why the reform is so slow?
We'll take, so there's two parts to that. It is slow. It is quick, but it is slow. It's quick in terms of, sure, I as a government can say we're going to implement these 5 new systems for the tax department, for property transactions and for healthcare. But if you don't have the skeleton to support that, having the systems in place doesn't mean much. And that's often the problem in Greece. Sure, you might have the systems, you might have the infrastructure might be there, the technology might be there. But from a user point of view, if it's not user-friendly, or from a practical point of view, your staff, the public servants don't know how to use these systems, that's still going to slow the process down. So we're back to square one.
Back to paper.
Correct. So you know, what I say...
Keep going and I'll say it.
The last thing I was going to say was and that's why part of the need to have someone like us is because things are not so black and white, and especially with these new technologies and online systems that they're creating, you're dealing now with a robot. So you need to know how the system or the online website works and thinks. Yeah. So when you submit and tick the wrong box, you're dealing with the robot. It's there. You can't change it. So it's also doing things correctly because you're dealing with temperamental new systems as well.
You essentially answered my question. This is something that you can help people through. Me as an outsider or anybody from abroad, so many pitfalls, but having you on the ground that can identify them. And you talked about ticking the box. A good friend of mine, her daughter was applying for uni. She ticked the wrong box, and because it was like robotic, she couldn't change it. No. She ticked that box and she missed the course because of what you said. If you tick the wrong box,
that's it can send you off. It's not only in Greece.
Yes, I know.
It's
but
everywhere.
When when you're here, you can fix it here, huh?
If you tick the wrong box.
So, Lukas, we're really excited to have you on board. We feel a huge need for the small investor, the person relocating, the large investor. From our discussions, you've got a good stable of quite substantial clients. So you've done really well for someone that's come out of adversity, because sometimes they say the greatest opportunities come out of adversity.
Literally.
A country coming out of a recession. That's when a lot of people identify opportunities and can turn them around into positive. So not everything is negative.
Yeah. Can I ask you, Lukas, your story is a success story so far?
Yes, would, without having tickets on myself. I would, to the sense I've managed to live it because of the way I stayed here. My first few years was turbulent because I was finding my feet. But when I would, because I'm living essentially a normal life now that I would have lived in Melbourne. I've got my apartment, I rent it, I can live by myself and live just like I would have in Australia. And my business, thank God, is going well enough to be able to sustain that. And sustained growth for me, what is classified as a success.
That's lovely to hear, Lukas. I'm very happy for you and very proud of you, I can say so.
Yes,
because I'm a bit older than you, and I can see you as my son, like as a boy that succeeded chasing his dreams or taking his decisions to go to live back to Greece, and it's amazing.
I was envious when you were telling me your story. I thought that's exactly what I want to do. Lukas is coming out to Australia in December at some stage.
December.
Yes. So when he's in Sydney, he's going to be sitting either next to me or next to you.
Okay.
And we're going to have you live in the studio.
What live? Let's have a party.
Let's have a party.
Of course.
Yeah. So do you find you've got a better social life in Greece than what you had in Melbourne?
Oh yes.
I'm
It's
asking the
not coffee machines close at 3 and the restaurant kitchens close at 9. No, it's none of that. Yeah. And the thing is, obviously, the lifestyle here is a lot cheaper. We do talk about cost of living. Yes, things have gone up everywhere. But on average, if you look at both countries, you can socialize a lot cheaper because your food is cheaper. The produce here is so good and the food is amazing. And you can do concerts and things like that pretty much a few times a month if you want to, because you're talking that a concert ticket here is anywhere from 20 to 50 euros, depending on the singer. Most of the time, 10 to 20 euros. They're not amounts that are not doable. Your dinner, we went to dinner last night. It was a really nice restaurant.
Yeah.
You'd probably pay 90 or
In
it's
Sydney, we
relative.
pay about $80 for breakfast, for the big breakfast.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you have a
It's bit
breakfast and a
crazy.
juice, that's $80 per head.
Cost
Yeah.
of living here
Wow,
is insane.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know,
Lucas,
Mm.
we're ecstatic to have you on board as a regular contributor.
Thank you very
Let's
much.
just tell everybody how it's going to work. You're going to have your little segment.
You already have.
Mhm, mhm.
Yes, and people can ask questions, and we will give
Yes,
you
of course.
Lucas's contact details so you can
course.
liaise directly with him. Do not make. He told me a horrific story about a couple that had entrusted a relative
Oh,
to do a renovation.
Right.
She took off with that money and wait.
Yeah.
Don't fall into the trap. We love our family, but
No.
family and business sometimes isn't the right mix. It's where you need someone that is an expert and has within his team and company that can help you through all these challenges. And he has the experience on both sides because he's from the Diaspora. He thinks with different eyes when you're from
Yeah.
overseas. The pitfalls, you see the possibilities and you see the opportunities. And that's what our discussion led us to. And I was almost so inspired. If I didn't have my kids here, I'd be in Greece working with Lucas. 'Cause we
Well,
identified so
Lucas,
many-
keep one seat for me, one seat for Christine. We're coming
Oh, you're
soon.
more than welcome. There are so many Australians here.
We will catch up soon when you come to
Absolutely.
Sydney. Thank you very
Definitely.
much for your contribution today in our
Thank you
podcast
so-
and for helping people, because it's not all jobs about making money, but it's also about helping resolve the issues that they're
100%.
having.
Yes. And you
Of
and
course.
everybody
And-
can tune into Lucas every week.
We'll be doing a different topic every segment, hopefully cover a lot
Well,
over the next 8.
Welcome to the
Sorry.
Greek Podyssey family. We're happy to have you.
And
Thank
thanks
you.
for
Thanks for
sharing your
having me.
story.
And
Thanks for
sharing
your
sharing your
story.
story, Lucas.
Thank you,
Thank
Lucas.
you.
Talk
Thank you.
soon.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, that was very informative and a
Wonderful.
beautiful story. We can take the headphones off, continue.
Did you feel inspired? I feel so inspired.
I feel proud.
Yeah.
I feel proud for Lucas achieving his dreams and his passion. He's having a great time in Greece, working and building up
Building a
his,
successful
his
business.
life.
I relate because when I'm in Greece, Nico, I look for various opportunities and I identify so many. If I was free to just pick up and relocate, I would. I've identified so many things that potentially are successful businesses. Sometimes when you go there with other eyes, you can see things that people take for granted because they live there, that it becomes part of what they see day to day.
Yes. Correct.
So there are lots of opportunities. And that's what this podcast was about. Don't be jaded. Don't be stuck in the past or with stereotypes. As Lucas said, there's an oversupply of that he's struggling to fill with local people, and he's having to bring people in from overseas.
And the cost of living, okay, that's very important.
Mm.
You're in a place with, let's say, 6-7 months, beautiful weather. You have a lower cost of living of what you have in New York or in Sydney. And you have the opportunity to start a life there, to build a life. For me, that sounds like Greece is like California of Europe, where you have this creative, diverse and sustainable culture and environment,
Yes.
and it has a lot to offer. Why not to try it?
If you are someone that left during the crisis, during the brain drain, Lucas is someone that you can contact if you want to get back into your chosen field. He has a plethora of different industries with very well-paying jobs. So don't think that the Greece you left in the middle of the crisis is the same Greece that you'll find when you return. So it's worth having a professional that works across all spheres drop him a line and say, this is what I do. Are there any opportunities? And you'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, no, 100%. Because what we have to do is to change our mind.
Paradigm shift.
Greece ain't what they used to be. Greece has changed. Greece has moved forward. You need to grab the opportunity. Because for me, if I'll be honest with you, if I have an opportunity, because we discussed a bit about the money that they pay, the big pharmaceutical companies and all that, if I had a job making 4,000 euros per month, I'm leaving yesterday.
Yes. Yeah.
Bye-bye podcast.
You're saying here, listen, there's going to be people, and I'm going to preempt because I know it's going to happen. They're going to say, you're talking shit.
Yeah.
Just because you don't understand something doesn't mean it's shit. It just means you don't understand it. You're not the benchmark for everything. We're not all going to see things in the same way.
Or you don't have the information.
You don't have the information and you're living in what you live in your little sphere. But there is a sphere outside of yours. So please don't come back and say we're talking shit, because we've just spoken to someone that lived here, started a business through the crisis, through COVID, and has major clients and is facilitating a lot of successful purchases, finding people high-paying jobs. Yep, it's there.
How many jobs are looking for 700,000? 700,000 jobs. They're looking for people to grab them. Why you not to be one of them? Listening, I'm talking to you. You want to have the Greek lifestyle and you're still stuck in New York, in Sydney, in Melbourne, or wherever you want. And you get out of here.
I'll give
Go
you
there. Go.
Nico, he told me a story. This job was paying 5,500 euros a month.
Okay, I'll take it.
He said he found someone qualified from Athens. This person didn't want to move from Athens to northern Greece because he didn't want to leave his mother.
Well,
You can't complain. Don't
it's
complain.
the choices. Like I know, because it's the same here in Australia. Come on now.
There's always people complaining for staffing shortages.
Yeah.
And I will mention one other thing. I attended a breakfast where the deputy foreign minister was here. He said, please become citizens and vote. The 2-year mandatory residential requirement in Greece no longer exists. If you are a citizen, you have a passport, you go to your embassy and you vote. And what he said, the more people that vote, because they want to be able to provide resources to the consulates to be able to help with the backlog.
Yes.
So when you can exhibit, it's a bit of a catch-22. Become a citizen, then go and vote, and then they go, oh, look at all the people that live there that are citizens. We need to provide more resources to Sydney or California or wherever you might be around the world. It's terrible when you hear people say, that voted. Don't complain if you don't vote. If you want to have a voice,
another
you've got to vote.
subject.
That's the next subject.
Another subject. We did that.
We've avoided politics up until now. Nicole goes, no, we can't talk politics. But you know what? Politics is a huge part of our culture. So at some stage, we will, without taking any political sides, we will talk about the political culture of Greece at some stage.
I want to say this, that beyond the islands lies a country that's rebuilding its identity. And with science, creativity, hope, Greece isn't just a holiday destination. Greece is new land of opportunity, and you can find it. So go, try to find a way. You'll see there are many ways for you if you want to go there. Invest, make money, take your kids, have a better quality life, better food, 7 months summertime.
Yeah.
Like it's everything there.
I want to add to that. It's a cliche that, yes, Greece has immense tourism. We shouldn't rest on our laurels and think, oh, well, we've got tourism. It's like what Australia did. Oh, we've got a mining industry. But those things always at some stage come at a cost. So the more tourism that Greece has, the more prices go up. So that's not good for the everyday Greek citizen because it pushes prices up with the more people they have. Yeah. So it's better if we focus on industry. And I'm glad that he said the golden visa has moved away from residential. It should never have been residential. The golden visa was a disaster for the residential market globally. The golden visa should be restricted to startups, technology, investment to stimulate the economy that creates jobs, that creates an export market. That's where the golden visa should be. Take it out of residential. We don't want to be paying more for our houses, our apartments.
Because that's what's happening.
Well, someone comes along and if a property is worth 150,000, they'll pay 250,000.
I know.
And
the story.
all of a sudden it just goes up. We don't want that. Don't do it. Investment. You want a golden visa. That's what should be the requirement.
And I want to say something to finish. If you're part of the Greek diaspora, as we said, and maybe it's time to look homeward again.
Yes.
To go back to Greece, not just for memories, but there are many possibilities.
Absolutely. Okay, that's another episode, and I loved it. I enjoyed it.
I loved it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lukas.
Thank you, Christine.
Thank you for your company. I've got to tell you, you look hot and hot pink.
I know. I'm a pink panther
Pink panther.
with a moustache.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Follow us on all our podcasts. Do you want to let everyone know where they can listen to us, Nicole?
Just Google the Greek Podyssey.
And you'll
we
find
are
us everywhere.
We are everywhere. You can find us everywhere. Thank you very much for being with us for
Love you.
another
Take
episode. Bye-bye.
I'm Christine Stavropoulos,
Κι εγώ ο Νίκος Σαμίδης. Και αυτό είναι το Greek Podyssey, το podcast της Ομογένειας.
a podcast for Hellenes worldwide, sharing stories, culture, identity, laughs, and a little bit of tsugrisma along the way.
Γιατί μπορεί να φύγαμε από την Ελλάδα, αλλά η Ελλάδα δεν έφυγε ποτέ από μας.